Good afternoon and welcome to Beacon Heights Elementary School. We are extremely excited to be here today, and I have behind me an amazing representation of our Maryland General Assembly and our amazing county executive here today, as well as county council members. It's important that they're here behind me today because it really is the support that we received as a school system that I haven't experienced in a while. This is truly what it means to be a village. And this legislative session that took place in 90 days brought us together far more than we thought it ever could. And we all spoke about one mission, and that really was about making sure that we were able to bring funds back to support our children. It's children like the students who are here at Beacon Heights Elementary School who represent 90% children who are on free and reduced meals, but making sure that we bring money back to begin to close the achievement gap. It doesn't matter the zip code, doesn't matter where you live. We have 134,000 students that deserve the best. And what we were able to do was to come together and sing the same song and to be able to have $53 million come back to Prince George's County Public Schools is amazing. The 53 million that I speak of is just a small portion of what has come back to us, and that is just what's represented in the blueprint for Maryland's future. But we receive so much more. We have over $1 billion worth of funding that's coming back that lets our children and our staff know that they are a priority. We work tirelessly every day to make sure that our students know that when they come to school, we're working extremely hard to begin to make sure that they're prepared for their post-secondary work experience or college experience. And this down payment that our state, that our delegates, our senators, and our county council, and more importantly, our county executive has shared is going to make a difference in the lives of our children. I am honored to have an opportunity to work alongside every last one of the people who are behind me. We work tirelessly in the evening into the wee hours of the morning, over weekends, to make sure that we all work to achieve what I know will yield academic excellence. And with that, I would just like to introduce now our county executive, Angela Alsobrooks, who will give remarks. And as she's coming up, I just want to say one other thing. She came in immediately with a focus on children and education and was relentless, would not give up in her pursuit for making sure that this legislative session focused on children and ways that we could give back to them. And so I just want to personally say thank you. It has been an honor and privilege to work alongside her and for all of us to truly say we care and love our children, and we're going to make sure that we give you the best.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Today is a great day. It really is a great day. And what you were seeing, I want to thank Dr. Golson, first of all, for her leadership. I have to tell you, it has been phenomenal. And it is leadership, thank you, it's very well deserved. It is leadership that is not only competent, but is compassionate. You know, you hear me say over and over again that Nelson Mandela says that a quick mind and a compassionate heart are a powerful combination. And that is what we found in our school CEO, and we just thank her so much for her leadership. But we are so pleased to be here today. I am certainly honored to be here with all of my partners, and I say that in the truest sense of the word, who have joined me not only today, but I have to tell you, I've been in office now 130 days, and what I can tell you is that it has been an amazing 130 days, and it's been made that way because we decided from the first day that we spoke one language, and that language is called Prince George's. And we took that attitude with us to Annapolis, and we have yielded, I believe, the results that our residents deserve. These are big results that we are reporting to you today, but they are the kinds of results that you can expect from our team. They are the results that we promised the residents of Prince George's County, and we are just so delighted that we have the chance to report them today. I want to thank Principal Lila Walker and our beautiful students here at Beacon Heights for having us. And this was the most appropriate venue we could think of, because out of the 130 days that we have been in office, I can tell you that we have spent at least the last 90 of them talking only about these beautiful children, how much we love them, what more we can do for them, And so that framed really the session for us, those 90 days that in the end yielded and in many ways almost exceeded our expectations. But what I have to also note were marked with sadness. This was a difficult session. And I think it's important to note that this was probably the most difficult session anyone could remember. One that started with sorrow and it ended with sorrow. But even in the midst of that, some very productive things happened. We want to recognize Speaker Mike Bush, who was a friend to so many who are assembled in this room today, who served not only as a colleague to all of us, me included, but was a friend and a mentor and a coach, a person whose model we believe will live long beyond many of us. And so the results that we were able to get were in part because of his leadership. It was because he had worked with us for so long, and so we want to just acknowledge his memory today and to offer our prayers and thoughts to his wife and his daughters and his entire family, including his legislative family. But even as we grieve, we are so proud of what we have accomplished this session. On the opening day, we stood together, and we did so very intentionally. The leaders who you see assembled here, we stood together on the first day of session as one Prince George's and told you that we were going to work together to bring back the resources that our citizens needed. And thanks to our collective efforts, we're here to report that we did exactly what we said. In fact, working together, we brought home more than $1.5 billion in state aid to Prince George's County. And again, we were not confused at all about our priority. And again, I think today is so appropriate that sitting up front, you can see where our priorities lie. They are with our children. And so you've heard Dr. Golson talk about the blueprint for Maryland, where we secured $53 million in Kerwin funding. This funding is critically important to Prince George's County. As we know that we have great needs here. You've heard that we have, even in this very school, 90% of our students are in need of free and reduced lunch, but we also have a very large population of students in the state of Maryland who suffer with disabilities, and we have also a large population of students who speak English as a second language. And so Kerwin anticipates these needs and will allow us to increase teacher pay, will also allow us to increase the number of pre-K opportunities for our children, and we believe that this will continue to build our kids and to build our schools. But we didn't stop there. We fought a valiant fight to increase school construction dollars. I have to tell you that we didn't reach our goal this year in terms of the dollars that we brought back. But we'll be back next year. We want to send that message out ahead of time, and we are more empowered than ever. But we did fight a valiant fight together. But we were successful in doing something that was not able to be done anyplace else in the state of Maryland, and that is to have a very innovative approach to building schools. We had legislation for our P3 model for school construction to pass. What this means is that we will be able to build, we believe, well, first of all, it allows us to address the $8.5 billion school construction and renovation backlog that we currently have. Prince George's County has the second oldest school buildings in the state of Maryland. This is a fact that we are not proud of, that we have not been able to attack this backlog, and we believe that our children deserve so much better. And so we were very aggressive in our ask, and we believe that with our P3 model, we will be able to build schools, do so innovatively, in a smart way. We'll be able to maintain those schools, finance the schools, save money in the neighborhood of $180 million. With this private-public partnership that we're talking about, we use an independent entity that will be completely responsible for the construction, maintenance, and financing of these schools, and will allow us to do so again at a cost saving. But we also believe that we can build 18 schools in 7 years, and so this is something that we're really looking forward to. But even without that we didn't have the funding added to the P3 this year, we got the structure passed. And we'll go back next year to make sure we're able to have the funding added to it. But even with the current investment that we were able to bring back from, including the county's funding, we will be able to build 5 to 7 schools in the next 3 years and as many as 20 schools in the next 10. Now, those numbers will increase, of course, once we have the funding commitment from the state. And as I just mentioned to you a moment ago, I have to tell you the will of this body standing behind me, my colleagues, is strong, and so we are forever confident that when we come away from Annapolis next year, we're going to have not only the structure that we sought, but the funding to go with our P3 structure as well. And so we're looking forward to that. In addition to what we were able to accomplish in terms of dollars for the school system, we were also successful with another priority that meant quite a lot to us, and that is in the area of youth development. We were excited that our youth sports legislation passed. This legislation will establish a youth sports division within the Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission, and this is the first step in a multi-phase approach that we are using that will ensure better access to youth sports for all of our children and streamline the scheduling process for our facilities to ensure that availability is not based on who you know, how well you know them, or how well you're able to navigate the system. We want equity for all of our kids. We understand the strength of sports. It is not our intention that all of our kids will become athletes necessarily, but we understand the true benefits of building a child through sports, to build character, to help build also our kids as strong emotional and physical beings who will become better students, better citizens, and better family members. And so we know the importance of it, but this so far has not always been the case. In fact, I'll just tell really quickly a story of a coach who talked to me about taking his track team to the Sports and Learning Center. And he said that he arrived 2 hours ahead of his track meet with his team because that was the only opportunity they had to practice, because they could not get access to the track ahead of time to practice. So if you can imagine the disadvantage that we place our kids at, who have to arrive at a track meet 2 hours ahead of time, and that's the only period you have to practice. This cannot continue. It will not continue, and we're glad that this legislation passed to give us the opportunity to equalize those opportunities. And our successes did not end there. As you know, beautification of our county is a high priority, and one area that we're dealing with is illegal dumping. Thanks to the work we accomplished this session, we are confident that we are going to be able to aggressively address this issue. So for those who believe they can come to Prince George's County and dump tires and couches and all kinds of other things in our beautiful county, well, we want you to know that we are now emboldened because we have legislation that allowed us to increase the fines and penalties for individuals convicted of violating the new law. And we want everyone to understand that we will be enforcing that law very aggressively to make sure that we are able to beautify our county and to give our citizens the environment that they deserve. In a few weeks, we will announce our plan to deal with this issue and many more to clean up our county. We invite all of you to come back, but we are so proud of Prince George's County, and we want to keep it that way. Our last priority coming into session was to address some of the safety concerns on the roads, and I want to thank Delegate Valderrama for all of her efforts to pass this legislation that secured additional speed cameras along Route 210. You all are aware of the many, many tragedies that we have seen on that road, and unfortunately so many others in Prince George's County, and we were able to secure the resources we needed to be able to make that road safer. And in addition to that, I said the last, but I want to tell you one other area that was really important to us, and that is revitalizing areas within the Inner Beltway. So the agenda that we had forward in Annapolis this year was one that was intended to lay the foundation for the work that you will see our administration and all of our partners accomplish over the next several years. And chief among that was really investing and adding new dollars to the Inner Beltway. And so we were really pleased that the National Capital Strategic Economic Development Program, or NED funding, is coming to Prince George's County in the amount of $7 million per year for the next 5 years. We will use that money, thank you. And I want to thank, we have, and you're going to hear from them in a bit, but I want to thank Delegate Mike Jackson. I also want to thank Senator Peters, and they fought really hard on this, and as well as all of our other partners. But we'll be able to use that money to address vacant homes and possibly also look at creating a land bank to buy back those properties, as well as to invest in other economic development related projects. So in some of the strip malls that have become very unsightly, so we'll be looking to do some facade changes. We also were able to secure funding that will help us to work as well with some of the food deserts. This is a huge issue that you've heard us talk about, the fact that our citizens deserve to have quality food, and so those NED dollars will be very helpful in that way. We also had the return of $9.3 million in school construction funding that the county had forward funded the state but had not been previously repaid for. So we showed up and said we want back our dollars, $9.3 million of them, and I want to thank this team for very aggressively pursuing that money. $38 million in state funding to go along with the county contribution also for needed interchange on Arena Drive as we continue to build out downtown Largo. This will also be the driveway to our new hospital. So there were important infrastructure dollars that we needed to make that happen. So the $38 million in state funding we were able to secure, as well as another really important victory. And that was to build the 12 turf athletic fields at our schools. What we know is that we had some of the turf fields that were done over the last several years, but we left out some important schools. And we wanted to make sure, again, in terms of equity, that if students at Roosevelt had a new turf field, well, guess what? So are the students at Potomac High School. We want to make sure that the equity goes across our county, and so there was a really big effort to make sure that this happened. And I want to thank again Senator Peters, who fought hard to make sure that that happened. And so I am going to yield the microphone at this point, but I do just want to say again a very heartfelt thank you to all of our partners, to say that we promised on the first day of session that we would only speak one language, and that language is Prince George's County. We will continue to work together as a team. We recognize that as a team we are so much stronger, and we again are determined to deliver to Prince Georgians the big results that they deserve. And this session was really just a great start, but we're just looking forward to delivering so much more. So at this point, I know we have a series of speakers, and I think the next speaker is Senator Patterson, Obie Patterson, who's chair of our Senate delegation. I want to thank Senator Patterson. Vice Chair. Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. Joanne C. Benson. And she were here, she'd kill me. She would remind me. I'm Joanne C. Benson, and I'm the chair. So our vice chair is here, who worked also diligently with us, and want to thank him and ask him to come and say words.
Good morning. I guess it's still morning. No? Oh, it's afternoon. How we doing, students? How y'all doing? You excited? Great, 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 great. My name is Obie Patterson, State Senator for Prince George's County down in Fort Washington, Maryland. But let me first of all give kudos to our county executive for putting together an expert team to come to Annapolis and worked hard and around the clock to make sure we were able to do what my former senator used to say, bring the bacon back to Prince George's County. We were successful. Yes, we had some challenges along the way, but you know what? We did not get off the page. We stayed focused on our mission to make sure that we were going to go and we were going to bring back the resources that we needed to operate gorgeous Prince George's County. I like to think of this budget as a budget with a heart. And I say that because we were concerned to make sure that we got in this budget monies for those needed programs, monies for those who had been left out the loop, to make sure that the quality of life would be across the board for all citizens in Great Prince George's County. And students, I want you to know, those of you who are going to be out this summer, we put monies in the budget to make sure that you will be able to have lunch during the summer period as well. We care a lot about the residents of this county, so we put in some monies to ensure that we pay folks for the work that they do. So all state employees will get a 3% raise, okay? Our law enforcement officers, they're going to get a 5% raise. And the correctional officers, I believe, will get a 6% raise, okay? So you can go back and tell your mom and dad, y'all going to get a raise, so we need some more money to go out and do all those other things you wanted to do, okay? We also put in about $255 million. I'm not going to go through all this number because the county executive has adequately done that. But because the Curtin Commission report is so important, it's so critical, that we all start rallying now to make sure that we will be able to step up to the plate when we go back in January to secure the funding we need for this critical moment. We, this year, I serve on the House Education Committee, so we sort of carved out the policy this year, but the big thing is next year when we get back, we have to find sustainable dollars to make sure that we can do all the things that the county executive has said and that I'm also committed to. We put monies in for the child care tax credit. That's very key. In the past, it was capped at $50,000. So now that cap has been moved up such that anyone below $143,000 will now be able to tap into tax credits for child care. So we think that's critically important. And the expanded opportunity zone. Students, we are making sure that when you get out of here, get on to high school, we want to make sure that we have jobs for you to get out and make some big money and buy those cars and those homes so that we all can get those tax dollars and help others along the way. So that's about it for me. It certainly has been a pleasure working in Annapolis this year. This is my first year back as a state senator, and I tell you, it was quite a session. But it was challenging, and I'm just happy to have had the opportunity to be there. And with that, just want to say thank you very much.
So next we have the chair of our House delegation. I want to also acknowledge Tiffany Harvey and our county legislative team. They did an amazing job. And there was one other item that I wanted to mention, probably my favorite, or one of my favorite, of course, other than education, was the funding that we were able to have pre-authorized to build a new beautiful amphitheater and performing arts center in Prince George's County. This center, $500,000 to do a study, feasibility study to determine where it will go, but we were also able to secure a pre-authorization for $14 million to build a beautiful amphitheater so that our residents can enjoy beautiful music.
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Delegate Michael Jackson, and I'm honored to serve this last year as the chair of the Prince George's County House delegation. And as Senator Patterson reminded me, Senator Joanne Benson, who's my counterpart on the Senate side, who leads the Senate delegation, is unable to be here today. She's a lifelong educator, so I'm sure that she's not happy that she had to miss this. I just want to mention a couple of things from the session. First and foremost, you know, I've always believed in every position I've been in life of creating a mutually beneficial partnership and being a part of that. That is a sustainable relationship. That's a relationship that the county executive spoke of, and that's a relationship that we all committed to from the beginning. I tell you, it worked out beautifully this year in Annapolis. You know, that 90 days can seem like a short period on a calendar, but I can tell you, having lived it for now 5 years, it's nothing short about that time. There are challenges along the way that not one of us, not an individual amongst us, could actually manage those trying situations without a partnership. So I'd like to thank the county executive. I'd like to thank the council chair, Todd Turner. I'd like to thank my counterparts, my colleagues over in the Senate, and I definitely want to thank the delegates who entrusted me to be their leader for this year. And we have some of them that are here, and some of them, a couple of them, by the way, for our students here, this is their district. Delegates Ann Healy and Tawana Gaines. This is their district. We have delegate Julian Ivey here. We have, is that it? Delegate Diana Fennell here. And Delegate Diana Fennell, as a matter of fact, let me mention this to you. So all of the dollars that we fight to bring back and all the resources that we fight to bring back is to make Prince George's County what we know Prince George's County is. A great county, moving to even better, more on the uptick for economic development and more structure in our county. But that can't happen if our families can't afford to provide for themselves, right? So this year we embarked upon a fight. It started out as a fight, but we didn't give up. So then it became a movement. And that movement resulted in the passage of a $15 minimum wage that has been long overdue, and Diana Fennell spearheaded that for us. So that means that all of our families will have a livable wage to ensure that our young folks can have everything they need so that when they come to see you, Madam Principal, they are in the right state of mind, they are focused, and they are ready to learn in the environments that we work so hard, along with our school system, along with our partners here, that we work so hard to ensure that the resources are where they need to be so that environments are created that are conducive to learning. There's nothing more important to that. Nothing more important than that. All the economic development that we look upon, the things that we want to do in the county, but if we don't have folks who can step into those jobs, and we don't have the school system that can prepare them for those jobs, we're doing it all for naught. But this team collectively is committed to go forward in a sustainable, mutually beneficial partnership. And I'm so happy to be a part of the team. The fights are worth the fight because at the end of the day, it's about the cause of Prince George's County. Thank you very much.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm County Councilman Todd Turner. I have the privilege of being the chair of the Prince George's County Council this year, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here. I just want to say, you know, I like sports metaphors. Had the opportunity last night to throw out the first pitch for the Bowie Bay Sox game. So I guess I'm the last hitter, at least as far as the speakers this afternoon. I just want to say, primarily, thank you to County Executive Angela Alsobrooks for her leadership. She is the captain. She's the team leader. She brought the team together, not only the team at the county level with her staff, with the county council, but also working obviously with our delegation both at the state and the county and state and the Senate. And so we were all played our roles. We were all members of the team, and each of us tried to play our important role in order to gain the success that we have had over these past 90 days. And so let me introduce my team first here, who's also with us, members of the County Council. I have council members at large. Calvin Hawkins is here. I have council member at large Mel Franklin is here as well. I have my vice chairman, and he was the chair of our General Assembly Committee and did an excellent job this year. Vice Chairman Rodney Streeter is here. And we are being hosted today in the 3rd Council District by Council Member Danielle Glaros. So we and former chair. And I understand I have to do this as well. We have a delegate, Geraldine Valentino Smith, represents the 23rd Legislative District, which I also represent, so has joined us. Thank you very much. So thank you again, County Executive Alsobrooks. The members who have already spoken have talking about kind of the large picture issues that we were able to be successful working together and some of the things that we need to continue to work towards during the course of this year. Obviously, the County Executive has just submitted her budget last month. The County Council is undertaking our fiduciary responsibility. We'll be having public hearings coming up started this week. We'll have additional ones over the next several weeks. So what we're going to do is obviously take what we were successful in doing during the General Assembly session and make sure those dollars go back to where they're expected to be, and particularly with respect to our schools, also with respect to economic development. Some of the smaller picture issues that we were able to accomplish for Prince George's County, it was about economic development and the appropriate development of Prince George's County. We worked on local legislation that we've been working on for 2 years in order to provide incentives to make sure that we're doing development, particularly around transit-oriented development sites, including our metro, our MARC stations, as well as our future purple lines. And so I think that's going to be important as we try to develop and make sure we're developing in the right areas. So these young people have a place to stay and where they want to stay here in Prince George's County. Another one was an opportunity, a story was just out today about the opportunity for us to move forward with a historic site up at Glendale Hospital by changing the designation of state law to allow us to be able to redevelop that. Now, for some of the kids, you might have thought about that it was a haunted place. It was very popular, a lot of ghost stories as part of that. So hopefully we can have a new opportunity with respect to the redevelopment. And that was a community effort, not only between the county, the state, as well as the local community. And that's the kind of vision that County Executive Angela Alsobrooks has for this county. And we just want to be part of that as members of the legislative branch of Prince George's County. We have established a strong foundation You know, I'm looking up here on the wall. We're seeing great quotes from great people, including President Barack Obama. My chairmanship this year is about service, community, and progress. By service to our community, can we progress? And I think this is a strong example of those leaders behind me, of us being able to do that and make sure that Prince George's County continues to progress. So thank you, and kids, enjoy your spring break. I know my daughter's going to do that too.
So we have two other senators with us, Senator Melanie Griffith. I want to acknowledge and thank her for her leadership. She is a lover of the arts and also an expert really in healthcare, and so we want to thank her. Her expertise has meant a lot to us, as well as Senator Doug Peters, whose leadership was really, really instrumental. It doesn't hurt to have in Prince George's County the person chairing the capital budget. That's always helpful to us, and so we want to thank him for his leadership. If there are questions, we would love to answer them at this time.
Could you all talk a little bit about the next potential Speaker of the House and what that could mean to have someone from Prince George's in that position?
So, you know, obviously, we talked about Speaker Bush this morning. He was a man who was so well regarded, really on both sides, and who I think left for us a model of what we might expect next. I think the idea that he was a coach, I think, was perfect in that his temperament was one that that listened. He listened well. He was a leader who was respected for his integrity. And I think in the next speaker we expect the same. I think most of us are focused now. The funeral is Tuesday for Speaker Bush, and many of us are looking forward to going to that funeral and honoring him then. It's my understanding that I know that there will be some who are seeking that office. One has already announced her intention, and the others, I think, are just saying they're waiting until after Tuesday. And so we'll wait to see what that announcement is. But I can certainly say that as a Prince George, and I understand that Chairman Derek Davis is a person who is not only interested but is well prepared to succeed Speaker Bush. And I have to say, as the leader of Prince George's County, that I think it would be ideal to have as a presiding officer, a person who represents Prince George's County. As you know, we do not have in statewide leadership a single Prince Georgian, nor do we have, and so I think, you know, and nor do we have an African American. I think it would be, you know, it would be historic, of course, and so I can tell you that that would be something that, you know, I would be obviously very supportive. I want Prince George's County to be positioned to continue to do well in Prince George's, and to have a person who is fair-minded and balanced and experienced to do that, I think is important, and those are qualities that I know that the chairman has, a person who's fair-minded and respected, to be able to listen to both sides, a person who is done exceedingly well. You have to be smart, in other words, to be on economic matters, and so he's a person who's also very smart. So we'll wait till after Tuesday, but I am, you know, unashamed of saying that I am, as the county executive of Prince George's County, if there is a person who submits his or her name and who is qualified from Prince George's County, I can tell you that I will be certainly supporting that person. Thank you.
Dr. Gold, you mentioned on how successful this was of working with state lawmakers. Why do you think that was, being that it could have been the same thing in other years? Why was this one such a big deal for the county?
Well, in my opinion, this was the right time. We have continued to talk about the changes that we were going to make in education, but this time we actually acted on it. I had the opportunity to meet with many of the people behind me when I first came into the position in September. And we had a conversation about really making sure that we created a path that would make sure that our children had academic excellence and achievement. And the best way to do that was for us to focus this legislative session on getting funds that we could help to begin to close that achievement gap and to make sure that it did not matter where you lived. And so because we started the year with that focus, I have an open communication with everyone behind me. I keep them updated on where we are as a school system and what we need to move forward. And I can tell you, every person behind me is committed to our children. They have children who are in the school system. And I'm honored and blessed that I've even served for some of them as their child's principal. And so I know how important it is to make sure that we get it right, and this was our opportunity to do it.
Can you talk about how many pre-K classes you all are expecting We've been told in the past the problem with expansion was physical limitations in school buildings. So is this money going to expand schools? What can we expect when we say expanding pre-K?
Yes, we actually have already taken on the ability to begin to do full day pre-K. We know how important it is to set that foundation for our students. So as a school district, we only have 38 half-day pre-K for classrooms. We actually met just yesterday and already have identified the ability to reduce that down to 29. And so I've worked with my team to create a 3-year plan where eventually we will come forward and have pre-K centers in the northern, central, and southern part of the county in already existing buildings so that we don't have to use that funding to create a different infrastructure. So it's our plan and goal that over the next 3 years we'll be able to offer every student full day pre-K and then begin a pilot of universal pre-K in the southern part of the county where we have lots of vacancies. Can you stand? Thank you. It's 2 of them. It's 2. We'll take 2. Go ahead.
Are you guys going to be able to fund like more field trips for different schools? Like
Field trips. That's an excellent question. Thank you. So our students obviously want to experience the world outside of their classroom. And as part of our Adopt a School program, those are some of the things that we've asked our community members to help to do. It's to make sure that they provide mentorship and opportunities for you to go outside of the schoolhouse and actually experience the world of work so you can make the connection between school and work. So you can best believe you'll have many more opportunities to go outside of Beacon Heights Elementary School. Excellent question. Thank you. You have a question? Yes.
Is the school going to change?
Is the school going to change? In terms of the physical infrastructure of the school, we'll continue to make some upgrades. As you saw when we walked in, there was a sign saying that there would be abatement work done while the break is happening. So we'll continue to do that. But through the support of everyone behind me, we're able to provide some additional funding so that you can get some additional supports, whether that's during school, after school, or on weekends. You'll also have an opportunity to have what we call a community resource advocate here who will be here to help to bridge the gap between the experiences you have at school and the supports that your family may need. And so it's more of a community school environment that you'll experience, but the school won't go away. It'll just be upgraded and even better. You're welcome. Now they're all asking, I know you all want to get home for spring break, right? Because that's in 15 more minutes. So we'll take one more question because I know your principal's getting antsy about getting you back into class. I'm going to take one on this side if you don't mind. Can you stand so I can hear you? Thank you, beautiful. More after-school programs. So now we do have the ability, through the assistance of your principal, to identify areas that she would believe that you need additional support. And if that's through an after-school program to focus on mathematics or reading language arts, she'll have additional funds to be able to do that. So that means we can come here after school and see you here. All right. Thank you. Thank you for starting it. Appreciate it.
Did you have a chance to meet with the governor during the session, and did you talk specifically about the amount of land that would be needed for him, the state, to pursue his 4-lane road widening on I-10?
So I did have a chance to meet with the governor, and no, we did not talk about the amount of land that would be needed for the widening, but we did talk about some of our joint priorities, some shared priorities, and I came to understand in that conversation and another that the governor is so excited about the idea of revitalizing areas in the Inner Beltway. And so we talked about food deserts and the support that we would get from the state to address some of the food desert issues we have. He also talked about his grave concern for Route 210 and his desire to assist us there. And so we talked a lot about revitalization. I found that that was the topic that caused the governor to sit on the edge of his seat when we talked about facade improvements and vacant homes and abandoned homes and what we could really do to bring alive some of the communities that have been neglected. And so those were the areas he talked most about. But we did talk about the Beltway, but not about any lot of land. He talked about a toll road that he was interested in. And so I've not received any further briefings from it. I told him I would need more information. I have not received any further information, but he mentioned that he was interested in toll roads. Well, again, I haven't received a briefing, so I don't have the details about whatever's being proposed. And so, when I have that information, I can give you a better sense about how it would impact the county. But I haven't received those details yet.
Once again, I'm County Councilman Todd Turner. So we had the opportunity to have a briefing with Secretary Ron and Secretary Slater from the State Highway Administration a couple of weeks ago. We had attempted last year to request them to come in during the course of the public sessions that occurred last summer. They were still doing some evaluation, and so we finally got an opportunity. I know they also went to Montgomery County and addressed their county council as well. I can simply say on behalf of the county council, there were a lot of serious questions. There was a lot of information about how we were not going to take homes, we're not going to take land, or try not to as part of that. Obviously, with the report that we received today, you have to question that a little bit as part of that. So there are still some serious concerns as part of that process. Obviously, last night was the first session of, I think, about 6 or 7 sessions between Prince George's County and Montgomery County now through the beginning of May. We, as the county council, and I'm sure the county executive will say the same, are encouraging all the residents that could be impacted by the expansion of the toll lanes, both on 495 and 270, to show up, express your position with respect to that, tell the state what you feel, what the benefit or burdens are with respect to this potential expansion of the roadways. I will simply say we go through a transportation priority process every single year in Prince George's County. We were not consulted as part of that when the announcement was made in 2017. I can say we also were not consulted about the potential expansion of maglev, the high-speed rail. So there needs to be better communication and coordination. And as we know, as the delegates and senators know, there was a lot of legislation in the General Assembly on those kind of issues. So I'll leave it to them to try to explain that. So, thank you.
Thank you.